We know the Trump administration doesn't really care about the rules, but there's actual environmental consequences that are being put into place that will have lasting results. Rice whales, an endangered species, are going extinct, specifically because the Trump administration wants to install offshore drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, using the Iran war as a pretext to do so. These whales were just found in 2021. They're a new species that previously hadn't been discovered. They were confused with a different species called bird whales, but they're actually their own thing. And there's only about like 50 or so of them in the entire world, and they only live in the Gulf of Mexico. So that's why we have had protections for them, specifically to make sure that they are not threatened by oil spills, which took away about 17% of their population in 2010 from the BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, Deepwater Horizon. It's also for like ship speeds, because ships have struck whales. There was actually guidance to restrict the speed of ships and like to stop their travel at nighttime, but those rules were taken out in 2025 by the same Trump administration. Mere weeks after they got into office, we're going to remove protections for these whales. And it's not just whales who are affected. Sea turtles are affected, and their population is expected to be hit for up to 45 years. It's very wild how much the administration is doing in the sense of the oil and gas industry and making sure they're good. These national security things, even under that logic, it takes a few years to come into production. It's not just like you just make the plan and then a few months later we have it. Years have to pass before you can get this thing up and running. And since Donald Trump says this Iran war is supposed to only last a couple weeks, whatever impacts we can get from this are not effectively, realistically going to impact the war. Even if it was this year, it's the well is not going up this year. So you have to really question why the Endangered Species Committee met for the first time in 34 years. Since 1992, they've only met a handful of times to exempt, and now they're doing it again. And it's really unfortunate because whales spiritually represent freedom and intuition. They're very solo creatures, emotional healing, and a sense of peace, not just in oneself, for the world. They represent equanimity, like a calm competence in how you deal with things in the world. They're filter feeders, so they're not a very violent thing for sea turtles like that. And wisdom, because whales live very long. They're very large creatures. They bring a sense of harmony, both to themselves and then to the environment and those around them. They're very community and family animals. So to see that lack of respect and that lack of consideration for an endangered species, nonetheless, in addition to the general environmental impacts by companies that have already caused harm in the area, you have to wonder. And it's very unfortunate.
Remember, because of our Drill Baby Drill program, America has plenty of gas. We have so much gas. Number one producer of oil and gas on the planet, without even discussing the millions of barrels that we're getting from Venezuela. We produce more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. We're in great shape for the future. The United States imports almost no oil through the Hormuz Strait and won't be taking any in the future. We don't need it. We haven't needed it, and we don't need it.